The key impression that I have coming into this video is that we are human beings and not human doing. The key inclination when setting goals is usually go, 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 go towards the goal. But we need to come into today's video, come into the mindset of looking at goals as just the beginning. The key excitement and the thrill comes in the growth and the learning that comes in the process of you now setting out to execute and accomplish these goals. Hi and welcome. This is a sound check. I want you to be very honest with yourself before we start this journey. How do you feel when you think about goals? Do you get nervous, anxious? Do you feel a bit of shame when it comes to thinking about the goals that you've set that you didn't accomplish? The goals that you could have accomplished that fell out along the way? I personally have experienced that even on this channel. Starting the channel in October only to lose momentum around January and only to come back again in the month of June. What is your journey when it comes to setting goals? Hi and welcome to my YouTube channel. The name is Gorata.Selaledi. Ever so excited to be here today as we jump right into week 1 of our 8-week program titled Envisioning the Next Decade. A decade is 10 years, and I personally am someone who is so passionate about time. I recently turned 30, and I think in thinking about the next decade, the key question is, what do I want to see come out of my life in the next 10 years? What legacy do I want to leave for myself, for my family, for my community, for the country, for the continent, and the world ultimately out of each and everything that I set out to do in my life? What do I want? When thinking about goals, that is the big question. If I was to ask you, what do you want to accomplish in the coming week? Bulk of the goals will be aligned to, excuse my dog. Bulk of the goals will be aligned to what it is you want. Bulk of the goals will be aligned to your vision for your life. And when I started this video today, I brought you to the attention of really thinking about your life from this perspective to say you are not a human doing. You are a human being. I'd want for you to really think about that from that perspective to then say, if indeed I am a human being, why am I here and what do I believe I have been placed on the earth to accomplish? As a starting point of really getting to a place of setting goals that are meaningful, setting goals that have impact, it is important to really unpack and think about why you believe you have been placed on this planet. This speaks to vision, this speaks to purpose, two very big words that I believe even as we go through this journey, we will be able to unpack it in terms of its detail. So welcome to the course, welcome to week 1. Let's jump right into today's video titled Understanding Goals. So a bit about my own goal journey. When I was 17, 18, when I was in senior school, I made a list of 125 things that I wanted to accomplish by the time I turned 25. A list, right, of things that I wanted to accomplish by the time I was 25. I think that was probably my starting point when it comes to really thinking about what I want for my life, right? In the list, there were very out there goals in terms of maybe wanting to ride an elephant one day to very practical goals like getting my license. I did this right before university. And just to share a story with you as a way of laying foundation of our journey, I remember how I started my first year, and when I started first year, I was like, wait, I have so much time and I have a bit of money, so why not get my license, right? So I remember sitting for my learners, I think a few months before I started at UB, and by the time I got to Gaborone, I then started my classes, right? And I remember going to transport, and this is what the man said to me. Oh, so you want to get your license? And I said to him, yes, I'm actually going to get it in the next 3 months, right? And lo and behold, 3 months later, this is me then with the same man at transport. He's saying, "Oh, I didn't think you were actually serious, or you're even going to be able to get your license, right?" And in my, I'd say joy and satisfaction of then having had been able to complete my license in 3 months, record time, by the way, given that I didn't have any driving experience, it brought so much satisfaction and joy knowing that I accomplished one of the things that I had set out to do for myself. So, what do you want? If you were to sit down and make a list of 125 things that you want to accomplish in the next decade, what would that look like? I am calling myself and calling you into an opportunity, if I was to put it as such, to actually think about what that is. What do you want? Right? And as a starting point, before we get into the nitty gritty of explaining something that you can probably Google, something you can probably find in ChatGPT, I want for you to find a book, right? Find a book that you can use as your goal journal for the next 10 years. For me, this is a book that I found that I had to cut out some pieces, but this is what I am going to use to really outline what it is I want to accomplish in the next decade. All right. So the first assignment before we get into the nitty gritty, to find a book that is going to be specifically for your goal setting journey, that will be specific for you sitting down and writing and outlining what it is you want to see coming out of your life in the next decade. So, since we will be talking about very obvious things, I am going to be taking you through some information that I've gathered that I will be speaking to for today's video. We are going to define goals in this first part of the video and then talk about the types of goals that you can set for yourself, right? And also, we are going to talk about balancing personal and professional goals. And also, lastly, just an exercise for you to actually take away before you step into this new week. And as a way of just laying a foundation for yourself for the next 10 years, wherever you are in your life, whatever season you are living through, I sure do hope that today's video will refocus your energies and move you to a place where you're now very deliberate about how you are spending your time and what you are going to pour your time and efforts into in the next 10 years. So, in defining goals, right? I personally believe that goals are very powerful. What I noted down here in my book is the power of goals, right? And in defining goals, they're very powerful, and you'll hear why. So, a goal is defined as, and remember, we are stating the obvious to help shift our lives forward. So, just reading out what is common information, and then we can then reflect on it together. So, goals are specific desired outcomes or targets that individuals or organizations aim to achieve within a certain time frame. Goals are specific desired outcomes or targets that individuals or organizations aim to achieve within a certain time frame, right? So that's the first part. I love this definition personally because it has the word specific and desired, right? So, what do you want? That question, in terms of being able to answer it, has to be something very specific and also something that you want for yourself. When I was going through my coaching journey, something that stood out in the Goals to Success certification program was how they talked about how most of the time when we set our goals, we set goals that aren't really ours, right? It's something that maybe you believe people would want for you, right? And not necessarily something you want for yourself. And you'd find that influences from media, social media, how you've been raised, different conditioning can ultimately influence your goal. But the key question that I'd want for you to really think about, and that I usually have my clients really think about, is this goal really something that I want to accomplish for myself, right? Is this something that I really want for myself, right? And I remember having a conversation with one of my clients who, for her, in terms of her universe, the key thing that stood out was being a mother. So some of the goals that she had set for herself included aspirations that she had in terms of strengthening the relationships she has with her children, right? And this is something that she wants. So in her situation as a mother, the key aspiration is to improve the relationship she has with her son. So I'd want to ask you to really take a moment to reflect. What do you want for yourself in the season of your life? You may be a student and maybe aspiring to get a certain number of points at the end of your term so that you're able to apply for another scholarship for a master's program or PhD program. So what does your want look like in second year, in third year, for the specific courses that you have for yourself? What do you want, right? And another thing that I like from the definition is the fact that it has time frame. It has a time frame, right? And you'd find that given the nature of, and please excuse the sound, it's my puppies in the other room. I'm actually just gonna pause this video and take them out. I'll be back. A little human moment. In that moment, I needed and required peace and quiet. So what I did is just to take a bit of dog food and gave the doggies. So what do you want, right? Just to continue what I noted down as a key takeaway for understanding goals, our first module here is to then say that goals provide direction and motivation and a benchmark for measuring success. They are a roadmap for setting priorities and making decisions to guide your efforts and where you direct your resources, right? So when you have a goal, I think just to really have you think about it, when you set out to accomplish something, right? When you understand that this is what I want to accomplish, let's take, for example, a health goal. I love giving the health example because personally, I am on that journey. My double chin is not very impressive. I need to work on that for myself. That is what I want, right? And in thinking about the goal, the specific goal is I want to lose 10 kilograms, 10 kg in the next 10 months, right? And that simply means for me that in every single month, I need to lose 1 kilogram. That is a goal, very specific to my health journey, right? And in thinking about the specificity of it in terms of execution, right? The prioritization now that comes from having such a goal, what that does is it asks me, or it leads my mind to ask me, so how are we going to accomplish this, right? So having a goal, I'd look at it as having that trusted friend or mentor that helps you refine and really think about how it is you're going to execute on what it is you want, right? Because you are giving your mind a piece of information that it can use to actually redirect your energy and efforts, right? So for my example, the key question was, how am I going to actually accomplish losing 1 kilogram a month? And that does look like, specifically for this month, that does look like working out 4 times a week, right? And out of a week, there's 7 days. So those 4 times can look like Monday to Thursday. They can look like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. But whatever it is, in terms of when, right? The key question being, when am I accomplishing that? I am able to specify to say, in terms of my health goal, every single week for the next 10 years, or the next 10 months, I am going to commit to working out 4 times a week for an hour, right? So what that has done is it has allowed me to then structure my weeks in such a way that that specific goal is accounted for. So prioritization is to then say, you know what you want, prioritization helps you get there, right? So if I was to ask you, what are your key priorities for this coming week? These would have to be founded on you first understanding what your goals are. right? So for the next video, we are really going to be thinking about the types of goals that you can set for yourself. So in doing my research for the types of goals, I think the two key ones stood out. And in looking at this program that we've set out to do, envisioning the next decade, I'd want for you to think about which type of goal it falls under. So we have two types of goals. Remember, we are in a learning series stating the obvious, but with the hope of shifting our lives forward, right? So even as I share, really have a think about your own that fall into these two categorizations. So the first goal, or the first type of goal, is a short-term goal. Short-term goals are quick and actionable in nature. Short-term goals are quick and actionable in nature. And a short-term period, I usually think about a year, right? So usually when we start the year, we start off the year with resolutions. That is, in the short term, this is what I want to accomplish, right? And in thinking about what I've just shared about prioritization, if you were to then project and think about the next 10 years, every single year of your life for the next 10 years will be influenced by what vision you've actually portrayed into your mind or visualized. Step back again. You've visualized for the next decade. So short-term goals, we'll give it a period of a year. And then long-term goals as the second type. I'm hoping the door sound doesn't come into the video. Yes. I'm just gonna open for them. What I am learning in that moment from my dogs is I'd say the perks of persistence, for us to put it as such, right? So getting what you want by being persistent and consistent, because I finally then let them out. But what I wanted to touch on is long-term goals. We've already spoken about how they set the tone for your short-term goals, but long-term goals are significant, significance in future planning. And if we look at the short-term goals in reference to the long-term goals, then we can describe them as stepping stones to your long-term goals. Imagine you have to cross over a river and there's a number of big rocks that you can step over. Let's hope it's a very calm river, because I'm just thinking a turbulent one. But your short-term goals would be those stepping stones that you actually step over to cross over to the vision you have for yourself for the next 10 years. In the next clip, we will be touching on balancing personal and professional goals. And I hope that even as I share, the key thing is the so what. How does this apply to my life now? And I hope that even as I share and continue to share the obvious, you will be able to really think about how it applies to your life, how it applies to your story now. So, in balancing professional goals, I believe this should apply to anyone who is working a full-time job or running an enterprise full-time, right? And the key thing is here is to say there is a need for you to balance your personal and professional goals. And I found something that really shifted something for me personally as I was preparing for this video, that said that each area needs attention for a balanced life. Each area needs attention for a balanced life. And people usually ask, how do you find balance to do everything that that you do? And I think for me, like just referencing myself, I chuckle because it's not a game of balance. And I think this specific statement brings it to a good close to then say it's really about dedicating the attention to each of those areas as you are living out those specific moments, right? So in terms of your profession, you have goals, you have targets, you have objectives that are aligned to the contribution that you're going to make into that business. So when you're at work, be at work 1,000%. In terms of your personal goals, the certain goals that you've set for yourself, when you are pursuing those goals, be there 1,000%, right? I believe that is how you get to a place where you achieve Balance, there goes my babies again. One of them is on heat. So it's a tricky time. So just to lead us into the last part of our video, I hope that it's been very interactive for you, because it's something that is very obvious. You're probably going to find a video on TikTok, on YouTube, a video like mine, and I really didn't want to go too traditional in terms of how we discuss and reflect on this particular thing. And the key thought, remembering that we are really thinking about the next 10 years, right? The next 10 years, 120 months from now, what do you want to see coming out of your life? What do you want to see coming out of the different areas of your life, be it physical, be it mental, be it emotional, be it financial? What do you want? And that's a perfect segue to the concluding part of our video. So what do you want? What do you want, right? This is how I usually position this question, to say, if God was to give you 3 more months to live out your life, God forbid, what would you want to pour your time and effort into for the next few months? Let's say, citrus paribus, time and money are not an issue. You have the time, you have the money. What would you want to accomplish? Really think about it and allow yourself to dream. I remember having a client who then, after this exercise, shared how, oh, Gorata, I actually realized I haven't been allowing myself to dream for the past few years. And coming to this place of having to think about what it is I want has triggered something within me to really think about what it is I want and what dream life I want for myself. So I want for you to allow yourself to dream. There's an exercise that I used to do when I was in university. It's called the best possible future. So for the next 10 minutes, I'd want for you to set a timer for yourself and really think about the next 10 years. Think about a day in your life in the next 10 years and really just envision, what are you wearing? What perfume are you wearing? What car are you driving? What kind of house are you living in? If it's a full day, tell me what's happening in the morning, what's happening in the afternoon, what's happening in the evening. What are you wearing? What are you watching? Are you having a glass of wine or herbal tea? Give me everything in detail, right? So I want for you to envision the next 10 years. I'm personally going to do that for myself in the next 10 minutes after recording this video, of course. But let's take a moment to dream, right? If you were to take that dream and hand it over to God and say, Lord, this is what I want for the next 10 years. Please pour out the wisdom and guidance to help me to be able to execute on that, right? So once we've drawn out the vision, once we've thought about what it is we want, I'd want for us to go back to the goal journal and make a list of 50 things that you want to accomplish in the next year that is tied to that long-term vision, right? So as you vision, as you draw up the vision, allow yourself to dream. Allow yourself to dream. I'll say this consistently. Allow yourself to dream. If you haven't, this is me giving you permission, right? If you haven't been dreaming the past year, the past 3 years, I'm giving you permission to dream. Think about what you want your life to look like in the next 10 years. It's a very powerful exercise. And after that, after listing the 50 goals, it should take almost an hour for you to do this activity. The one that follows the listing, right? So after you've set out the 50 goals that you want to accomplish, I'd want for you at the top of each page to write down each of those goals. This is a method that Brian Tracy shares, a popular thing that you've probably seen online. But list out one of the goals at the top of the page and list out everything you need to do to accomplish that goal. Remember, the 50 are tied to the short term. You say, what do I want to accomplish in the next year? But the vision exercise is tied to the next decade, right? Describe a day in your life in the next 10 years. What are you wearing? What are you eating? Where are you going? Who is in your life? Think about it. broadly, add as much color as possible, feel the emotions that you'd want to feel on that particular moment in time, and allow yourself to get to a place where even now, when you sit down to write down your short term goals, these are inspired by the grander vision of your life. So we've come to the end of the video. Oh, and my dogs are going wild. We've come to the end of the video, and I hope to see you in the next one. If you haven't registered for the program and maybe you stop by here to get some convincing to say, okay, Gorata, you said you're doing a free program, free things never have value, and you believe that you'll get value from engaging on these videos, please register for the program. I will put the registration link into this description box as well. But if you've just jumped onto this video, please go back to the launch video so that you have an insight in terms of who you're engaging with, why we are engaging in such a way, and you are informed leading into the next 7 weeks. So in the next week, we are going to be discussing and reviewing goal setting methodologies. And the aim is to share a few that you can take, pick and choose, and set a strategy for yourself that you can take, pick and choose, practice and apply into your life so that you can have a strategy in terms of how you execute your goals. Right? So next week, goal setting methodologies. But it has been an absolute pleasure. I was so nervous coming into the video. But I'm so glad that it came out the way it did. And I hope that it has blessed you and it will shift something in your life. See you next week, Monday. Be blessed. And I hope that you will register because there is a free workbook in the registration in the registration form once you've registered that gives you reflection prompts that you can actually do to embed what we've already discussed today by reflecting and thinking about how it applies to your life in the season that you're in today, right? But otherwise, it has been amazing. The name is Gorata.Selaledi. If you're only new here, please do click on that subscription button and the notification bell so that you're notified when new videos come up every Monday specific to the series, but new videos every Sunday, Monday, and Friday. Thank you for watching and see you next week.